Welcome to episode 10A of OrgZoo Instant Insights series. In this episode, I wanted to explain how we can use the OrgZoo creative metaphor to visualize your culture, to actually see the behavioral patterns within your culture so that you understand it using a tool called Behavioural DNA. So how do we bring this together? Well, we start with the organizational zoo character cards. These are simple cards, just like a normal playing deck, with metaphors that use caricatures to represent a behavior. So an ant meaning tactical task behavior, a lion being control and command, etc. So you very quickly understand what these cards mean. You don't have to explain them to people, they're self-explanatory. In the second stage, you give a set of these cards, these are 26 character cards, to a group and ask them to sort them into layers, like we talked about in the layers of culture, what you would expect, what you desire, what you tolerate, and what you would reject. They then usually take about 15 minutes or so to sort for any given question is, what is good leadership? What is our culture? Who do we want to be? It doesn't matter what the question is. They will then sort the cards into these 4 layers to create patterns. And then from that pattern, what happens is you use a quick algorithm to put in what the patterns are. And you can see here what happens. This particular example, there were 12 groups of people, and they were each of those 12 groups was sorting the character cards into the behaviors that are expected, desired, tolerated, or not tolerated. You see these patterns emerging. Sometimes you see where there's quite a range. As you see this particular behavior, the control and command, some people expect it, some desire it, some tolerate it, and some reject it. And this is where you see the culture clashes happening. So you can actually see what happens. In other areas, the knowledge, collaborative sharing behavior represented by the owl, every group said, we expect that to happen. So you can clearly see what works and what doesn't. So that there is the behavioral DNA of a particular situation, done by a group at a creativity conference some years ago. Then the final step is you sit down and talk about it. Don't just do the activity and then move on. You need to have this reflective dialogue around, why do we have a diversity of perspectives? What does this mean? Can we learn from that? Do we understand why we're connected? And also why we're sometimes in conflict. It's a fantastic opportunity to visualize and understand your culture. And in the next video, 10B, we'll talk about how we can then use this to actually evolve your culture towards who you want to become. Thank you.